Hey friends! This is a story about a tragic incident that took place in an apartment building in Bogota, Colombia, in 2021. We're going to dive into the lives of the Lopez family, whose world was turned upside down due to carelessness and negligence that led to devastating consequences. In this tale, we'll focus on Diego Lopez, 30, father, a hardworking man often stressed out from his job as a security guard; Sofia Lopez, 28, mother, a stay-at-home mom battling depression and leaning on alcohol; and Mateo Lopez, 3, their son. At first glance, the Lopez family seemed happy. Diego and Sofia met in their teenage years while attending college, bonding over shared dreams of their future and love. However, as they grew older and faced reality, their relationship began to take on darker shades. Diego put in long hours as a security guard, often staying late just to make ends meet. His workdays felt endless, and his paycheck barely covered bills and groceries. He was filled with responsibility, but also overwhelmed by the uncertainty of their financial situation. Despite his efforts, providing the stability his family desperately needed proved elusive. Meanwhile, Sofia remained at home, growing weary of the monotony of life. Isolated from the world, she missed meaningful connections with others. Friends had drifted away, and her days revolved around caring for little Mateo, who often played alone. To cope with her loneliness and depression, she turned to alcohol. What started as evening drinks to soothe her nerves soon escalated into a regular fixture in her life. This drinking habit left Sofia feeling increasingly insecure and aggressive, with her moods shifting in an instant. In her clearer moments, she adored Mateo, taking pride in his achievements and dreaming of a joyful future. However, the constant bickering only added strain to their relationship. Diego, worn out and irritated by ongoing issues, often blamed Sofia for his failures, sparking conflicts that left deep emotional scars. Their arguments would often start over trivial matters, escalating into hurtful exchanges. Mornings began with minor disagreements, sometimes even insults, leaving both of them feeling weighed down. Curious and energetic, Mateo was both a joy and a source of stress for his parents. He frequently witnessed their arguments, and while his young heart couldn't grasp adult issues, he felt the heaviness in the air. He sought their love through play and simple childhood joys, but every time they redirected their attention to his toys, he hoped for something wonderful to unfold, only to be disappointed time and again. Sofia longed for a life free from alcohol and conflict, dreaming of a time when they could simply be a happy family. Yet, that dream felt like a distant fantasy. The family's dire state and emotional instability set the stage for a tragic incident that unfolded on that fateful evening. Lost in their own struggles, Diego and Sofia failed to recognize how their choices were impacting their little son's life. The events of that fateful evening unfolded like a painting that ended in horror. As night fell, the Lopez household slipped into its usual routine. Diego returned home, weary and drained after a long day on the job. Stretching his shoulders, he noticed the kitchen light was on. The mood inside was immediately heavy. Half a bottle of red wine lay on the table, and Sofia appeared to have drowned her loneliness in it. Her cheeks glistened with alcohol, and her eyes were filled with tears, ready to spill at any moment. The toxic mix of drink and ongoing stress ignited a devastating conflict. Soon enough, their customary bickering erupted, with hurtful words and buried grievances spilling forth. In their reckless exchanges, Diego shouted about finances and how he toiled endlessly to support them, while Sofia struggled to comprehend his feelings, suffocated by her own guilt and despair. Amidst the chaos and emotional outbursts, their 3-year-old son, Mateo, sat on the floor, clutching his favorite stuffed bear. Seeking refuge from the storm of his parents' quarrels, he felt like a stone carving, detached from the crashing waves of accusations. Whispering softly to his bear, he murmured, "Please don't worry. Everything will be okay." But his gentle words didn't reach his parents, who were too engrossed in their fight to notice him. In a moment of clarity, they decided to bathe Mateo, thinking it would lift their spirits and reconnect them as a family. They quickly wrapped him in a towel, took his hands, and headed for the bathroom, hoping this small ritual would restore the harmony long gone. Sophia, seemingly releasing tension, turned on the shower and adjusted the temperature. Yet in her pursuit of calm, she failed to notice just how hot the water was, lost in the vortex of her inner turmoil and distractions. Matteo sensed something was off. He had always been told to pay attention to his feelings, but in this chaotic moment he felt neglected as his parents rushed him to the bathroom. As the hot water enveloped him, Matteo's skin began to burn, shocking him into a panic. His cries echoed off the walls, escalating from whimpers to desperate screams that filled the home with horror and despair. Finally managing to escape the scalding water, he stumbled out, leaving a trail of wet footprints behind him. His little body, reddened from burns, sought hope outside, but instead he faced a vacant hallway void of warmth or care. There was no comforting footsteps or kind words nearby. He crawled down the corridor, but survival seemed impossible. The burns were too severe. In the midst of their arguments, Diego and Sofia remained oblivious to the escalating situation, trapped in their conflicts as life, in its cruel irony, didn't offer forgiveness to those who took it for granted. When Diego and Sofia finally returned to the bathroom, everything appeared eerily calm. The shower continued to run, and the air still held the remnants of their earlier fights. They hadn't yet realized what had transpired in their absence. The empty bathtub, with droplets lingering around its rim, bore silent witness to their negligence, leaving them with one haunting question: where's Matteo initially? Panic set in as they exchanged alarmed glances, unable to fathom that their son could be alone and unattended. Concern washed over them, but rather than registering the gravity of the situation, they thought Matteo might be playing nearby. This misconception temporarily soothed their frayed nerves, but it was a fleeting calm. Diego rushed out of the bathroom, racing down the hallway, checking corners frantically, but he found no trace of Matteo. Panic surged within him as fear turned real with each passing second. He shouted Matteo's name, his voice met only by the oppressive silence. Sofia, stunned and frightened, quickly followed behind. They raced down the stairs, their hearts that had just been singing joyful songs were now pounding in sync with their rising fear. Every step and every movement amplified the dread, whispering an inner voice, "Please, no, please no." Upon reaching the bottom of the stairs, Diego spotted something on the floor. His heart sank as he saw his little son's body lying unconscious. In that moment, time seemed to freeze, and all thoughts unified into a singular dread. Matteo's hands were cold, his face pale and lifeless, like a candle extinguished. Every fiber of Diego screamed for help as he rushed to him. Sofia stood frozen, unable to comprehend what she was witnessing. Her mind fought to shield her from the cruel truth, yet her heart knew. The moment they had been waiting for with Matteo in the bath was irrevocably lost, and their relationship with their son teetered on the edge of disaster. Terrified, she looked at Diego as he tried desperately to revive Matteo, leaving no stone unturned. Diego called out for his son, holding him close, tears streaming down his face. He felt his own irresponsibility hit him hard like a physical blow. His mind raced with missed opportunities that now felt utterly meaningless. They hadn't done what they should have, and even in his drunken stupor, the reality of the catastrophe slowly began to dawn on him. Sofia, lost in a haze of panic, thought only of calling for an ambulance. Her usual structure, once a bulwark in times of crisis, now fell apart into chaos. She grabbed her phone, hands trembling as she fumbled with the buttons, her words tumbling out, "Help, please, help." But no operator could promise salvation while time slipped away. As they waited, Diego continued his desperate attempts to bring Matteo back. He pressed the boy's small body against his, gently shaking him, hoping against hope that his little boy would respond. But every moment of silence grew louder, and hope dwindled with the life slipping from his son. Finally, the sirens broke the heavy stillness as the ambulance arrived, and both their hearts froze with dread. The paramedics swiftly sprung into action, but Diego felt as if his soul was laughing at him. Each attempt to resuscitate his son seemed like a cruel joke, robbing him of the chance to see his little boy live. Feeling hopeless, they could only watch as the doctors fought for Mateo's life, their hearts growing colder with each passing second. Each heartbeat that begged for help was wrenched from their chests, leaving behind only emptiness. Eventually, the medical team had to call it. They returned with regret etched on their faces. In that heart-wrenching moment when they realized they had lost their only son, the world faded to gray and indifference. Their lives, once filled with dreams and hopes, plunged into an unfathomable darkness from which they would remain forever trapped. Now they faced the haunting question: how would they confront this new reality, and how could they live with the bitterness of having lost everything with Mateo's small body? Every shared moment, every memory they had held dear now shattered, consumed by the fear and pain they had unwittingly created. The grief and anxiety of the Lopez family soon settled into a thick fog of public intrigue. Neighbors who witnessed the tragedy couldn't just stand by and watch. The chilling cries for help and piercing sirens that shattered the evening's quiet reminded everyone that life can be brutally unforgiving. Someone from the community called the police, and the Lopez home quickly became the focal point of media attention. Local news broadcasts filled screens with images of the parents, heads hung low, snippets of court sessions, and emotional interviews from neighbors. Accusations of neglect and irresponsibility toward their young child circulated like wildfire. Neighbors described Sofia as the life of the party, once bursting with energy, now drowning in the depths of alcoholism. Once the story gained traction, the Lopez family was inundated with backlash. People exchanged opinions on how profoundly the parents had strayed from their responsibilities, questioning how such a tragedy could happen in a normal family. However, lurking behind the scenes were lawyers, experts, and psychologists weighing in on the discussion. The courtroom became not just a trial for the parents, but a stage for examining the societal threats that loomed large. Each hearing served as a stark reminder of the imperative to safeguard children and the perils of alcohol dependence. Diego and Sofia stood before the bar, and each time they recounted their version of events, their words became hollow echoes that mirrored the depths of their despair. Exhausted and defeated, they faced the harsh reality of their choices. The defendants attempted to paint a different picture of themselves. Diego spoke about his efforts to provide for the family, how hard he worked, and how he eagerly awaited returning home to see his son. Sofia offered apologies, sharing how the madness of her depression consumed her whole. Yet their attempts fell flat against the gravity of the reality they faced. The prosecutor relentlessly hammered home the facts: utter negligence, disregarding parental duties, and the tragic repercussions. Heated arguments intensified the atmosphere, transforming the courtroom into a battleground where families' tears and bitterness exploded. The personal tragedy of the Lopez family quickly became a matter of public discourse. Each subsequent hearing drummed up more details and commentary. Conversations swirled around what it truly meant to be a good parent and how parents should be acutely aware of their limitations. Their deep dive into societal and cultural norms ignited calls for greater accountability and protection for children. The penalties for the parents who allowed this tragedy to unfold fell under several criminal offenses, including failure to protect the life and health of a child and gross negligence. Sofia was sentenced to 3 years in prison, while Diego received a sentence of 1.5 years. The Lopez story did not go unnoticed. It became a powerful warning to society. This was more than just a tragic outcome. It was a clarion call for everyone capable of managing their emotions and making conscious choices. Mateo's tragedy catalyzed discussions around negligence and alcoholism, underlining the importance of recognizing one's mistakes and finding the strength to seek help before errors become catastrophic. Anyone who has faced addiction knows that even a single rash decision can spiral into tragedy. The Lopezes were a couple who drowned their dreams in alcohol, and despite their struggles, they became living reminders of how failing to cope with internal demons can cost lives. The sorrow and horror birthed from this tragedy served as a lesson to those around them about how easily one can lose what is most precious. They reminded society of the importance of empathy, that each of us should support our loved ones before it's too late. The Lopez saga, after thorough analysis and discussion, left an indelible mark on the minds and hearts of many, urging better awareness of responsibilities as parents and community members. Society was given an opportunity to reflect not just on the consequences of each choice, but on the roles of love and responsibility in family life. The lesson drawn from this bitter experience became the key to unlocking doors to a safer, more stable, and protected future for all children. If you or someone you care about needs help, don't turn a blind eye. Reach out to professionals. If you found this video insightful, like and subscribe to our channel to keep up with important stories and information. Share this video with friends together. We can make the world a better place.